because like I said, we're talking about waitlists, we're talking about scholarship negotiation, and we are talking about application timing. So when we talk about waitlists, and you know, I want to start with waitlists before we even get into the conversation of scholarship negotiation, because they're all a little bit intertwined. But really, when we talk about waitlists, we are talking about relationship building and relationship forming, and so many people don't understand that. It's not as formulaic as it might seem. It's not like, oh, an automated process where they send you this waitlist and they don't really care what you say back to them, or they don't really care if you say anything back to them at all. When you are waitlisted, it is also not a denial. And I think people really do get that a little bit confused. They're like, oh, I was waitlisted, so I'm not getting into that school. Well, some people were waitlisted all the way in October, November, right? If they wanted to deny you, they would have. And I think that's really the place where you need to start when we're talking about law school application waitlists. If they wanted to deny you, they would have. It would have saved them so much time, so much energy, because they have to reread your application when they waitlist you. They come back to you. They say, okay, we're not really sure yet. We want to make a decision later. We want to see what the rest of our application pool looks like. We want to get a feel for our class, get a feel for the situation. So it is not a denial. And I think that is like the first thing that you really need to know. The second thing is, okay, so what do? You were given this waitlist opportunity. What do? The first thing is that you need to respond, and you should respond quickly. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they get a waitlist offer, I don't know, in November or December, and then they come to me in February and they're like, oh yeah, I was waitlisted. Should I have said something? Yes, absolutely. Now, some schools will give you specific deadlines. They'll say, we need you to respond by January 15th, January 1st, whatever. But I want you to really think of it as a courting relationship. So if you are trying to be in relationship with somebody and you say, hey, I want to take you on a date, you don't have to let me know right now, but could you let me know by the end of 2 weeks if you're interested? Or a job offer. If a job offer says, hey, absolutely, here's a job, you don't need to let us know right now. We really like you, or we're thinking about you. We're still considering you for this job, but you don't have to let us know for 2 weeks from now. How does that job feel if you wait until 11:59 to let them know, oh yes, I'm interested? Well, they're thinking, well, she's not really that interested. Because an interested candidate would have responded right away. Yes, I'm interested. Yes, I'd love to stay on the wait list. Yes, I'm so thankful to be considered, right? That is how someone who is interested responds. So how you respond to a waitlist offer in many ways is just as telling as the fact that you responded at all. And so many people miss this. They just think, I just have to check the box. It doesn't really matter. They're just knowing if I need to stay on a list or not. No one's really reading this. No one really cares. So you need to make sure that how you respond to the waitlist offer is comparable to how you feel about the school. If it's a school that you really like, then you should be enthusiastically responding to the waitlist offer. Now, how do you do that? We're going to go through 3 different points about how you can enthusiastically respond to the waitlist offer. One of the first ways that you want to respond to a waitlist offer is by writing a letter of continued interest. And I know that many of you have heard this phrase before. What is a letter of continued interest? It is literally a letter of continued interest in that school. And how do you frame it? Okay, so I have an entire guide on my website that you can download. It is your guide to letters of continued interest, but I'm going to go through it for you guys right here. Like I said, you can download it on my website, smontgomeryconsulting.com. Under application guides, you can get your own guide, but I'm going to go through the components of a strong letter of continued interest for you. So there are 4 parts. The first part is to express gratitude, okay? You want to make sure that you take the time to thank the admissions office for the opportunity to stay on the wait list. But you don't want to go overboard. So what does that mean? You don't need to write them an entire half page expressing why they're the best school in the world and why you're so thankful for the opportunity and why God's blessings have been shown to you for allowing you to stay on the wait list. You don't need to go into that. I'm talking about 1 or 2 sentences. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on the wait list, because again, they could have denied you and they did not deny you. So we're thankful for that. And then you should be genuine. You also want to, so important, convey your interest in staying on the wait list. And you want to be real with yourself about this too. When you're talking about how long you're going to stay on the wait list or what your interest is in staying on the wait list, you want to be specific if possible. So to give you an overview of what the timing is for law school application waitlists, law school waitlists can go as long as August, right? So they can go for a very long time. And so sometimes when people have in their heads, yes, absolutely, I'll stay in the waitlist forever, they are thinking that they'll find out in May or they'll find out in June, but you might not find out until August. So this is the time to really, and it's not a game where it's like, I'm going to stay on every single waitlist that I can, because that's someone else's spot. So you want to be really clear and you want to be really honest with yourself about how much you like the school and what your intentions are. Is this a school that you are happy to stay on until the first week of classes? Because sometimes people get into law school the week before classes start. Are you okay losing your deposit at another school? Because if the waitlist is going till August and you choosing to stay on the waitlist till August, you're probably going to have to deposit somewhere else before then. Absolutely fine for you to do so, but in this letter of continued interest, those are the things that you want to be thinking about. There are a lot of places and a lot of schools that are concerned about, yield, right? What it is that they're concerned about the number of students who are going to say yes to their offer of admission. So let's say a school admits 2,000 students. Maybe only 500 say yes, or 700 say yes, or 800 say yes, right? But sometimes only 400 say yes. And they have a certain number of seats that they need to fill for their own fiscal priorities, right? They have a budget. And each one of the seats, each one of you, you're on a budget, right? You have a dollar sign on your head. And as they are thinking about their class, their number one goal is to not have any empty seats, because that is money on the table. So sometimes they use the waitlist to protect their yield. So what it is they admit a certain number of students and then they admit a larger number of students on the waitlist. So if some of those students say no, if they thought 500 students were going to say yes, and then only 400 students said yes, or something like that, then they're going to pull 100 people from the waitlist to get that full 500. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense, and I'll keep going. All right, so they have their 500 spots, right? And then they have 400 people who said yes, and they're pulling 100 people from this waitlist. What it is that you want to tell them is why you are going to come and why your continued interest in that school. So you need to tell them the specific reasons, the personal reasons why that school is important to you. And again, this is another point that people really miss, okay? So they're really interested in their school. Maybe they've written a why Sunnyside University essay. In this letter of continued interest, you've thanked them for allowing them to stay. You've said, oh my gosh, I intend to be on the wait list until the first day of classes, until August. I'll stay on the wait list until, whenever, right? You've expressed your interest. And now you're saying, I know that Sunnyside University is the right school for me because of these specific reasons that I did not already tell you. Here's the thing. If you already gave them a full YS essay, you cannot use those same things in your letter of continued interest because you've already told them. And you told them and they made the decision to waitlist you. So in order to get off the waitlist, you need to tell them something different. You need to explain to them why they should take you off the wait list. And so this is what's really important that people miss. They turn in their applications. Let's say they turn in their applications in November. Then they do nothing. Literally nothing. They just sit there. They're like, okay, I'm done. But you're not preparing. And so we as lawyers, we need to be preparing and thinking ahead. We need to be thinking, okay, what happens if I do get waitlisted? What happens if I need to come up with some more reasons for why I need to go to the school? How can I make that happen? Well, you have to make these opportunities, okay? So you have to create these extra reasons for why you want to go to that school. What does that look like? What are you talking about, Sydney? All right. Do they have, look, some of y'all did not go to information sessions. I know. I'm looking at you. You didn't do it. You have not been to a single information session. Go and do it, right? Step one, go do it. You should have gone to an information session for every school on your list. So let me know, comment below if maybe you didn't go to an admission session and you're like, oh, okay, that's going to be the first thing that I do right now. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go to an admission session. Now, let's say you've already gone to an admission session. What is the next thing that you're going to do? You're going to see if they have any affinity groups. You know, I've been talking to you guys for a while. Okay, so someone on Instagram says, I haven't been to one. I didn't even realize there was still an opportunity to go. Yes, yes. Okay, so go to their website. Go to the admissions website and like under Visit Us or learn more information, you'll see the information sessions. Even if they don't have a live one, if they just have a recording of one, watch it. You're going to learn so many good gems about that school that if you didn't do the information session, you just might not know. All right, so you're going to do that. And then you're going to talk to people in the affinity groups. You're going to talk to people in BALSA. You're going to talk to people in APALSA. You're going to talk to people in the Women's Law Association. You're going to talk to the Fellowship of Christian Attorneys, whatever it is. You're going to talk to those people. You're going to create new reasons for why you like those schools. And I'm going to be bold and say, listen, with the application season as competitive as it is this year, you really need to do this for every school on your list. Like if you didn't do this before you applied, when you were forming your school list, this is something that you should consider doing now, because you don't know when you're going to need that information, and you don't want to get waitlisted in May or June and then be like, oh my God, I need to scramble. So if you have already turned in your applications, or honestly, even if you haven't turned in your applications, if you are in the waiting phase, need to be proactive during this time. This is not like a sitting around time. Marcus said, I feel like schools are like, oh my gosh, it's him again. I go to everything that they offer. Marcus, keep doing that. But there's a way to be respectful without being obnoxious. And I don't think you're not an obnoxious person. But you want to be forming relationships. So like literally forming friendships, asking them about their day. Like you want to make sure that this is a real, genuine human connection and not just, I'm going to show up because I was told that if I keep showing up, I'm going to get off the wait list. Like you want to actually have some authenticity to it. So that's the thing. You want to make sure that you are forming that relationship, that you are having those new personal things. So that in your letter of continued interest, you can say, the panel by such and such really moved me, or the conversation that I had with the other Polynesian student from my hometown and how they've really been able to, capture all that law school has to offer this year, how they've been welcomed into the community. It's really touched me. Whatever it is, you want to be as specific as possible. The third, and honestly probably the most important part, or really the fourth and most important part of your letter of continued interest, is that you want to have updates. And this is again why I say this is not the waiting phase. You've turned in your applications, or you're getting ready to turn in your applications. This is not the waiting phase. Okay? This is the action phase. This is the pro-action phase. So, some of you might be like, but Sydney, I don't have any updates. Updates are things that have changed since when you applied. So if you put in your application in October, maybe you've been promoted, maybe you've started a new club, maybe you've started volunteering somewhere. If you're still in school, maybe your GPA went up, maybe you have a higher LSAT score, whatever your update is. But if you're saying, I don't have any updates, I'm in the exact same spot, you need to be making updates. Go, make them. Find opportunities. Find things to join. Find ways to get involved. Maybe you've just read some really fantastic books, or maybe you've written an article for your school paper or local paper. Do something. Why? Because you can only reasonably update the law schools on these letter of continued interests so long as you have updates. If you don't have any updates, they really don't want to keep hearing from you. However, you really want to keep talking to them so that they don't forget who you are, which means you have to keep making updates. Yeah? It's also a reason why if you somehow have 10 updates, I want to put all 10 in one letter. I'd space it out. Okay, so you are going to be making these updates to your application, however big or however small, that will give you reason to stay in continued contact. Now, some of the schools operate in a way where they're going to say, hey, give us a letter. We don't need to hear from you again. We will contact you if the waitlist moves. Cool. Some of these schools are going to be like, yeah, we love hearing from our waitlist applicants every 4 to 6 weeks. How do you know which one a school is? How do you know how they like hearing from students? You ask them. You call them and you ask them, hi, my name is, Sydney. I am, a waitlist applicant. I was just wondering what your preferred method of hearing from waitlist applicants was. And they will tell you how they prefer you to stay in contact with them. Jasmine says, U Chicago's waitlist video says, we'll call you. So yes, there are some schools, Yale is also one of those schools, they don't really want to hear from you that often. Like one letter maybe, and don't contact them again. And you also need to make sure that you can follow instructions, like read. Because all of this, how you handle the application is as much part of your law school application as what you submit. So you might be a fantastic candidate, but if you show that you can't follow instructions, then they don't think that you're going to be a great lawyer and they don't want you, right? So it's all about following instructions. It's all about reading the room. It's all about knowing how specific schools operate. And it's all about, being professional. I think it's really important. You're applying to professional school. Being professional while still advocating for yourself. This is really your first test of advocacy. So you want to be professional, but you also don't want to just be the kind of person that goes wherever the wind blows and doesn't make their own opportunities and their own chances. So we're going to transition from waitlists to financial aid, but I just want to check in with you guys. How are you feeling? Do you have any questions? Like I said, I have an entire guide on my page about waitlists. You can download it. I have videos on waitlists. There'll be more videos on waitlists. The replay to this will be up so you guys can hear it. But definitely, I don't want you guys sleeping on waitlists. It's not a place to be sleeping at all. I am going to transition, though, to talking to you a little bit about negotiating scholarships. And I know that's a really big ticket item right now. How do you go about negotiating these scholarships? Just like I said previously, that waitlist negotiation, waitlist maneuvering is about relationship building. Scholarship negotiation is about relationship building. Honestly, scholarship negotiation might be the biggest piece or the biggest place where relationship building comes into play. So many times I see students talk about scholarship negotiation as an adversarial relationship. They feel like they have to come in and pit one school over the other. They feel like they're in a fight. They're just ready. They're like, okay, how am I going to get them to give me more money? And they come in with this like really rash attitude of like, we gotta knock down all the walls to get more money. I don't think that's the right approach to scholarship negotiation. Hopefully, throughout this process, you have been relationship building. In the application process, when you went to admissions info sessions and you were getting to know the deans or the directors, after you applied, I'm always a big fan of you emailing, following up with a question that's not from the website, really starting to build that relationship. But in a lot of ways, the financial aid office and the admissions office are sometimes not one and the same. It really depends on the school. So there's two different types of financial aid. There's need-based aid and there's merit aid. Need-based aid is going to be mostly based off your family's situation. If you're under 29, a lot of schools will consider your parents unless you're married or you have a child. So really, truly your family's financial situation, and that will be based off of the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, FAFSA. So that is going to drive a lot of need-based aid, and in general, there's not a lot of negotiation that can happen with need-based aid. You can appeal it in most cases by showing, okay, maybe the FAFSA used my 2019 or 2020 taxes, but a lot has changed, especially with the pandemic. You know, maybe the snapshot of your taxes is not what is being shown right now in real life. So you are able to appeal your need-based aid if you feel like the numbers and the information that they used to get to the award amount, if those numbers were erroneous or out of date, or if there was something that happened suddenly, you suddenly lost your job, or you suddenly had an incredibly high medical bill that maybe wasn't taken into account. So that's kind of how you not negotiate, but appeal a need-based aid award. On the merit side, most merit-based aid is based on your LSAT score and your GPA. Sometimes it's based on other factors, but for the most part, that's what it's going to be based on. So when you're negotiating your financial aid, you really want to have information and data to stand on. So I really recommend you go to, I love the pre-law platform, prelawplatform.com. It's run by Law School Transparency. They have over 1 million data points, the largest set of data on law schools, larger than the ABA. And there, if you make an account and you put in your own financials, you can actually see what the historical scholarship amount is for every school on your list. And you can start to see, you know, what numbers students had who got that kind of scholarship. And Law School Numbers is another place that you can go and you can see the scholarship amounts for students with your similar LSAT and GPA profile. Also, of course, being an underrepresented minority comes into play as well when we're talking about scholarships. But it's really good for you to get a baseline to see what the historical scholarship amount is. If there's a school, for example, like NYU, who notoriously does not give a lot of financial aid, and you don't know that, well, if you're going to be like, well, I want a full ride, NYU is going to be like, okay, I want a full ride too. Now, yes, they give a lot of very specific merit-based full ride scholarships. But outside of those specific, and that's why they have so many, outside of those specific merit-based scholarships, they don't give as much aid. They don't really give a lot of need-based aid either. So you need to know, you need to understand the profile of the school. For example, Harvard Law School does not give merit-based aid. So if you walk up to Harvard Law School and like, I want to negotiate my scholarships, they're going to be like, there's nothing to talk about. They only give need-based aid. They don't give merit aid. So you need to know the school. You need to know historically what kind of aid they give, and you need to know historically how much aid they give so that you can best position yourself to negotiate. And like I said, you're not marching up there ready for a fight, but you are relationship building. So you have this scholarship offer. And I know one of Jasmine's questions was, I received a lower amount of money from a lower ranked school, and I received a significantly higher amount of money from a higher ranked school. I would have thought with my numbers that I would have gotten more money from the lower ranked school than the school that I, did get money from, the higher ranked school that gave me money. I said that merit-based scholarship is based primarily off of your LSAT and GPA, but you also have to understand that every school has its own budget. Every school has its own financial priorities, and every school has its own yield priorities. So there's a number of things that can be going on there. The lower ranked school might also just have less money. These are facts that we cannot ignore. If they have less money, they're not new to this. Schools do this every year. They have a lot of yield projections. They know at what point they can give certain scholarship amounts out and when. So they are also in the business of trying not to run out of scholarship money, but also when we talk about timing, scholarship money is sometimes given out on a rolling basis as well. So when you get to places like February, March, certainly April, a lot of schools do not have scholarship money left. They've already given it out. The other thing that might be happening, Jasmine, is yield. So if a school doesn't think you're likely to come, they might not be as inclined to give you as much money because you're not gonna come. They know this. And you might be like, oh no, but I really like the school. But they're looking, and that's one of the questions, right? On the application, they ask, where else are you applying? And I always say, don't lie. You don't need to give them the whole list, but don't lie. But if you are a certain applicant, right? I'm just going to pick on Jasmine. If you're from Princeton with a high LSAT score, and they're not stupid. They're like, well, okay, there's not a real good reason for her to pick us. There's just not. And they might know also that your chances of getting scholarship money from schools above them are high. And if those schools have a higher endowment, if those schools have more money, let's say they're school number 80, and they know school number 50 with Jasmine's numbers is likely to give her, a full ride scholarship. School number 80 is not going to waste their time, because not only can they not afford to give Jasmine a full ride scholarship, but they also know she's not going to take it. And here's the other thing. Until you say no to a school, that money is promised. Yeah? So if they offer you a full ride and you don't say no, which, most people don't, they wait, they cannot promise more money than they have. Because it would be awkward if everyone says yes. So they give out money, and then, once people start saying no, then they take that money. Okay, great. This full ride can go to these 3 people. We can split that money up, right? And this is how people do say, well, I got it off the wait list and I still got scholarship money, or I applied in June and I still got scholarship money. Yes, but that is because somebody else said no to that money that you have in your hand. It went somewhere else first. So it's not like a very sound strategy. You have to understand why, again, schools are giving you scholarship money. They are not giving you scholarship money because they want you to feel really great about yourself. They are not giving you scholarship money because they're so proud of you for how well you did on the LSAT. No. They're giving you scholarship money because they want you to come to the school. Because they want to raise their numbers. Because they're trying to increase their rankings. Period. That's it. Scholarship money is used to attract candidates with numbers that are above the median in order to help raise the school's profile. So you have to be asking yourself, if I am at the school's 25th, is this a school that's likely to give me scholarship money? Now, they might have a base scholarship money that they just kind of give everyone because they know that the sticker price is not the real price. And at the end of the day, they still need seats, people in the seats. As I mentioned, every one of you has a $sign above your head. If they don't fill their class, is really not a good day for them. So they want to try to give everyone a little something so that people actually come. But in terms of the big scholarship awards, those are mostly given to people who they feel like, we think if we give her this scholarship, she might just say no to Harvard. Maybe. She might. We think that in these pandemic times, this amount of money can entice her to come to us, We think we have a good shot. Maybe she doesn't even get into Harvard or Yale or Stanford or, any of the T5. So they are literally sitting there going, where do you think she's going to get in? Do you think we have a chance? How much money would it cost us to get her? Like, they're literally sitting here and doing those calculations and then giving you the scholarship money. It is really not even for you, it's for them. Because at the end of the day, it helps them. It raises their stature, it raises their profile. And also, at the end of the day, all of these acceptances are so you graduate and you become alumni and you become famous. And then you get to be like, oh yes, and, graduated from, like, look at President Biden, right? I'm sure his law school is very happy right now. That's what they hope for all alumni. You will go and you will become famous, and then our name will be in the news and we will have a raise in stature. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's not even about you. None of it is actually about you. It sounds really mean when I say it like that, but it's not. Let me see what you guys are saying in the comments, because the Zoom chat has been going. Okay, so yeah, someone made a really good point. One school said if you get more scholarship, you might get less need-based aid. Yes. So some schools, and again, you have to really peel back the layers to these schools and their budgets and what they can afford in their endowment. I know when I was applying to school, 2 of my local schools basically said, listen, we have a cap. We can give this much money. It can be all need-based. It can be all merit-based. But whatever it is, it cannot be above this number. So if we give you a full ride, or not even a full ride, if we give you, let's say $30,000, let's say that's their cap. If we give you $30,000 in merit aid, you're getting $0 of need-based aid because you've just maxed it out. That's the cap. You can't get any more. So some schools, it's like they do this seesaw thing, which is why I said in some schools, financial aid and admissions are very separate. And in some schools, they're a little bit more intertwined. Now, someone had also asked on the Facebook page, like, who do you even go to talk about this with? How do you even begin to approach admissions on this topic? And so what I want to say to that is you want to always, always, always be respectful and always be about relationship building. And be honest. I have received, when I was in undergrad and when I was in law school, the most amount of scholarship negotiations or the most successful scholarship negotiations that I did always came from being transparent. Hi, my name is Cindy Montgomery. I am so thrilled to have been admitted. I, unfortunately, am paying for this all on my own. I am a college senior, and the cost of tuition is just really prohibitive. Thank you so much for the generous merit scholarship that you've already given me. I was hoping that maybe I could have a conversation with someone in your office, or if there's a different office that's more appropriate, about finances and making this a more affordable option for me. Who is going to be mad at an email that sounds like that? You are sincere, you are genuine, you have thanked them for the money that they did give you, and you're just laying it on the table. Listen, your school sounds amazing. I cannot afford to go. And then you let them say, yes, let's have a conversation. And maybe in that conversation, they find some more money. Listen, these schools be finding money when they want to. Okay? They find it when they want to. They just want people to ask nicely. Very nicely. And they want people to ask who they think are actually going to come to the school. They have extra money. All schools have extra money. Don't let them tell you they don't have extra money. But they're not going to give extra money to someone who's just going to turn around, take that extra offer to another school, and use it to get more money. Like, they're not about to give you extra money for that. Now, you might still be able to do that, but you can't make it seem like that's what you're going to do. And that's why relationship building is important. Because if you just come out the gate, they have never heard of you, they have never talked to you, you have never had a conversation, and you're just like, I need more money. They were like, who is you? Right? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so you need to be laying the groundwork. Okay, don't just, because how would you feel if someone just showed up and was like, yo, I need more money? You'd be like, okay, I need more money too. We all do. All right, so like treat them like you would a person. Treat the schools like you would any other kind of person. Okay, so then the other thing that I wanted to talk is about this is, well, let me just read these comments. Okay, so one of the top schools I'm considering does not give merit-based aid, need-based only. I am 32 years old. Can I skip adding my parents' income off my FAFSA? Yes, in most cases, 32, you are totally good. I'm concerned if I do, it will hinder me from receiving the aid I need, even though I will not be able to get help from my parents. So at 32, you're usually just totally fine. And if you're concerned that maybe you didn't do enough relationship building, there's no time like the present. You don't want to be like a complete stranger. So yes, if you've talked to admissions, if you've talked to a current student, if you've talked to a professor, you are on the right path for relationship building. Just be kind and courteous, and they may ask to see your other offers. So then you should have them to give them, because again, we're all in the land of transparency. And if your other offers are much lower, then that's just the truth, right? You cannot, please don't manufacture any offers. Don't do that. But just say, like, listen, your school was the most generous, and I'm so appreciative. It is still really cost prohibitive. And I'm just not able to to do this, and I was hoping that we could have a conversation about this. Yes, it's okay if you don't have to send all the offers either. You can just send one offer. If, like, let's say there's only one offer that's higher and there's a few offers that's lower, you can just send a higher offer. It's okay. If they ask if there's any other, then of course don't lie. Don't lie. Trying to go to law school. But you can just send the one offer that's higher. All right, so Jasmine said a follow-up question would be, how early is too early to negotiate versus how late is too late? So you want to know where you stand in your application process. What do I mean by that? You are likely to get the most merit aid from the schools in which you are above the median. If you are only waiting for your reach schools left, I think it's fair to start negotiation. The likelihood of you getting more money from your reach schools is small. It's possible, but it's small. And you likely want to start the negotiations with the most, I guess, honest, amount of information possible. If you, let's say the best school that you've got into is ranked 14. Well, that's Georgetown. Let's say Georgetown's the best school that you've gotten into. And then, you're waiting on, I don't know, you're waiting on like 5 through 10. I would start with 14 and be like, okay. And you can honestly say in your negotiations right now, your school is my number one choice. Don't have to say forever, just right now, because it's the best school that you've gotten into. Right now, your school is the number one choice. My number one choice. I would love to come. These are my other offers. I would love to have a conversation about how I can make this a more affordable option for me. I love to say that phrase, a more affordable option, instead of how I can get more money, how I can get more scholarships. I just, why? Why do you want more scholarships? Because you can't afford it. So, let's just say that. Make it a more affordable option for me. And when you are negotiating from a place in which you're waiting on other options, but right now it's their number one, and you can say that, and you should use the word right now, at this current time, then I think you have a little bit more of a leg to stand on. So I don't think there's really a too early to begin. I mean, if you've only gotten one offer, yeah, I would wait. Don't just negotiate in a vacuum. But if you've received maybe half of your offers, I think that's a good time to start negotiations, especially if the other schools that you're waiting on are reach schools. And too late, don't start negotiating close to deposit deadlines. They're not really trying to play that game right then. I mean, they will. But remember, scholarship money gets given out on a rolling basis. And this actually leads me very nicely into the thing about timing and applications. Okay, so you know that I love you guys all. I love you all. And I believe in all of your dreams. I am never the person that's going to tell you not to apply, not to shoot your shot. But I am the person that's going to be very real with you. I don't want anyone making long-term decisions off of short-term emotions. Law school is a long-term decision. Don't make the decision about where to go to law school based off of short-term emotions. Okay? Don't rush the process because of short-term emotions. So if you are here right now and you are trying to decide when you should apply still, if we're looking at February or even March, honestly, I'm going to be very real with you. If you're looking at February, I want you to have very clear goals. Okay? Super clear goals. You need to be able to tell me, I know my January LSAT score is going to put me above the median for these schools on my list. And the schools on my list are not among the most selective law schools. Such that applying in February is actually very on time for those schools. And in combination with the fact that I know my LSAT score is going to be at or above the median, it is a prudent decision, and I can still achieve the law school goals that I set out for myself by applying in February. Okay? Because if you can't say that sentence, then I think you should wait. I know nobody wants to wait. Nobody wants to have told all their friends and all their family members that they're applying to law school and then have to say, well, actually, I'm putting in my applications in September. That doesn't feel very good. You know, it feels embarrassing, maybe. Or maybe you feel like, I've been waiting 9 years to go to law school. I don't want to wait any longer. Okay. But answer this question. You as an applicant with the schools that you're looking at, would you have a drastically different outcome if you applied September 1? Because for some of you, you're either compromising on your goals, and to, you know, be real with you, God has called you to a certain place, and you're saying, no, it's okay. I don't need to go there. I'm just fine going here. This is fine. I'll get my JD here. It's fine. I'll still be a lawyer. It doesn't matter where I go to school. I just want to go right now. I just want to go in the fall. It doesn't matter that you've called me here. It doesn't matter that there's scholarship money over there. You know, it doesn't matter that I'm destined for something greater. I want to go right now. And so I'm going to settle for some other schools. And I'm going to cut my chances short. I'm going to sell myself short because I want to go right now. That might have been uncomfortable for some of you listening to hear. But hear me when I say I am watching so many people make this decision. I'm watching so many people who could have such a strong application in September. You know, if you give yourself time, and some of you haven't even started your essays. And listen, if you do it right, it's not going anywhere. Law school's not going anywhere. If you do the process right, if you take your time, if you take that LSAT score that you're getting in January or February and you apply in September, oh, the blessings that you are going to have, the acceptances that are not going to be there in March and in February, but will be there in September. The scholarship money that will be there in September, the doors that will open are just so plentiful. Now, hear me, I'm not saying no one should apply in February. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying no one should apply in March. I don't think you should apply in April. That's my opinion. But I am saying that most people should not apply in February or March. Some people, and I explained it earlier with that sentence, if you know that you can still achieve the same goals that you had in September, that you have now, because of your LSAT score, because of the tier school, because of that school specific timing, if you know that, and you know it's going to be about the same, absolutely keep applying in February and March, keep it moving, you know. But for many of you, it is not the same. And I just want to caution you that even though it might seem like a dream deferred, it is really just a miracle that is incubating, and it's blessings that are overflowing if you have patience. What they say, good things come to those who wait, right? So I'm going to get off my soapbox, but let me look at these comments and let me see if anyone has questions about that. Yes, Marcus, I do have YouTube videos on how to find outside scholarships, and we will talk about that in the boot camp. So for those of you who don't know, I have law school application boot camps. I have limited the enrollment to now 4 people per boot camp because I have. So that means that they enroll until they're full. Okay, so especially if you're one of those people that are deciding to wait to apply into the fall, get into one of these boot camps. There's one that starts every month. I'm capping at 4. We talk about everything We talk about brainstorming applications, brainstorming your personal statements, outlining, drafting, diversity statements. We talk about negotiating scholarships and finding scholarships and waitlist offers and interviews and letters of recommendation, the whole thing. We talk about the whole thing. And we make sure that your applications get in the fall. That's why I don't have any boot camps right now, because I strongly believe that you have your best chance when you get your applications in the fall. Awesome. Jasmine says the boot camp is magic. Marcus says, I'm so pumped for boot camp. Listen, boot camp's about to be a time. I am ready for boot camp. If you guys are not in this boot camp, you're sleeping. There is one spot left for the February boot camp. And I'm not opening it. You're just going to have to wait till March. All right. So you can go on my website. You can enroll. There's payment plans if you need it. But like there's literally one spot left for the February boot camp. So do not sleep. Do not sleep. I know a number of you guys were going to take the January LSAT and see because the doors are closing on the February boot camp. All right, y'all know it's 7:55. I'm going to pray us out, but I hope I didn't. I hope that you took my words as encouragement. You know, this cycle is one of the most competitive cycles that we've ever had. Applications are up 32%. I don't say that to scare you or dissuade you, but I say that because it's important to have the facts and have the understanding of the situation that we're in. So I believe in all of you, and I believe in all of your abilities to become fantastic attorneys, but I just want you to get there strategically. I want you to get there with the most money. I don't want you to spend more money on law school than you need to. I also don't want you to make a bad investment. And I also don't want you to sell yourself short. I never want that, okay? We have to aim high as a people. So I'm always trying to help you do that, okay? And if you guys have any questions, you know that you can always message me. You can always email me, hit me up. I will be happy to answer your questions. All right, so if there aren't any other questions, yes, this will be posted again to rewatch this. It'll be posted in the Facebook group and then on YouTube. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you thanking you for this time, for this moment, for these your children who are striving to get to law school, who are striving to become attorneys, to become change agents in their communities, to become leaders and shakers, to become glass ceiling breakers. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for their heart, for their passion, for their desire to give back to their community, for their intellect. You have imbued them with so much wisdom, so much discernment, so much good judgment. So I thank you for the space for them to come honestly with their questions, to get guidance in the process. I thank you for using me as a vessel through which your word can speak. Dear Heavenly Father, I just ask a blessing over all of their applications right now. Those who have already submitted and who are waiting, those who are about to submit, and those who are just at the beginning of their journey, who are just thinking about law school, who are just starting to study for the LSAT, who are just starting to write essays. I ask that you would bless the process and make it fruitful. I ask that you would open doors that doesn't even seem possible to open. I ask that you would part the seas and that you would push back rejection and push back denial and deferment, and that you would rain down acceptances. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask that you would give patience to all those who are in the thick of the process. This is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And I ask that you would give patience to those who are waitlisted, patience to those who are just waiting, who have heard nothing, who maybe are watching others get acceptances or get answers, and they don't even know if they are in or not in because they've heard nothing. But I ask that you would move in the silence. I ask that you would be in the waiting. I ask that you would wrap your arms around them so that they know that they are not waiting alone, but that you are with them. I also ask discernment over their application timing, that you would rain down wisdom on the best time to submit, that you would give patience if the answer is yes, but not yet. that you would allow them to see the forest through the trees, and that you would allow them to rise to the destiny that you have called them to be. That you will not allow them to sell themselves short, to give up on their dreams, or to walk away from their destiny because of short-term emotions. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask that you would just be with them in the decision-making process as they try to decide between a school A and school B, as they try to decide which one their future is, that you would just help them in their decisions, that you would illuminate facts about them, that you would bring forth connections, that you would cause networking to happen, that you would help them find that feeling inside of them that this place is home, that this is where I'm meant to be, that this is where my future and the next step of my journey takes me. So I just thank you in advance for moving within their lives. And I thank you for guiding them, that you have never left them or forsaken them, but that you are always a light into their feet, and that you are lighting the path that they need to go on, dear Heavenly Father. I thank you for this space and this community, that they don't have to go through this process alone, but that they have mentors and colleagues and friends and classmates, that they would be connected for life, and that though the application season is but a season, that they will stay together for years to come. I ask all of this in your Son Jesus' name. Amen. So I just want to thank you guys, as always, for hanging out with me. It is 8:01. I've gotten really good at being punctual. Yes, and Ron, we are praying for strength and for focus. Amen. I'm praying that God will give you all the strength and all the focus, because focus is so hard nowadays. But I'm just going to pray that you will not have any distractions. I bind up distractions, and I bind up just wandering thoughts, that you would be able to stay focused and stay determined and have strength. I love being with you guys. It is one of my favorite things to do. If you are not subscribed to my email list, you are missing out. I talk to you every Tuesday. I put forth a new YouTube video every Monday. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, you're also missing out. And I drop a new podcast episode on mindful prayers for students every Friday. So, there's lots of ways to get a hold of me, and I will be right back here live with you guys in 2 weeks, at 7 p.m. Eastern. And, I gave out some stuff for January. In February, be looking up for the next giveaway, because it could be you, and you don't know what I'm going to give away. It's my birthday month, so I might be extra generous. All right, guys, I love you very, very much, and I will talk to you soon.